I've currently got a sensation of feeling nostalgic for feeling nostalgic, if that makes sense. Hi and welcome back to the shed. I'm Joe Bleeps, and this Game Boy here is not your standard current mod of an IPS screen, but it's actually got a retrofitted LED panel behind the original LCD. Now, when I first started modding Game Boys, that was the way to go. And in fact, that was a technology that was in development. It was the only way to get a backlit screen on a Game Boy, and there were various different ones coming out with different amounts of LEDs, different colors, different ways of diffusing them, RGB versions, and I kind of really enjoyed that phase of getting into modding and finding out about all those different things you could do with them. But it wasn't easy. Removing the reflective film from the back of the LCD itself was very, very difficult, but it was really worth it. Like, the transformation between the original LCD and this was just so much of an improvement. It was well worth the effort. However, the LCDs themselves, given that they're a number of decades old, are somewhat delicate. So sometimes you get a good one, sometimes you get a bad one. And even when you've had a good one, over time they can start to deteriorate. Certain columns of pixels will start to fail and might need a bit of a repair. And that's what happened with this one here. I built it for my friend a number of years ago now, and over time, with lots of use, it's eventually ended up with a few of the columns of pixels going. So in those cases, what you need to do is open up the console and access the lower edge of the LCD. So you have to take the screws out of the back, separate the Game Boy into two halves, remove the ribbon that connects the two, unscrew the front PCB from its shell, and then lift it out from there, reattach the ribbon, and with the batteries in the rear half of the case, what you want to do is access the bit that's underneath a black rubber strip at the bottom of the LCD. So you have to carefully peel that off, then carefully peel off the adhesive layer that's underneath, and at that point you can access the ribbon strip which is causing the problem. So if you've got these failed columns of pixels, what's happening is that the original ribbon that was attached to the LCD has slightly come away. And to reattach that, you need to apply heat to hopefully soften the glue and revive those offending columns of pixels. Now in this case, that is what I did for a while. I spent a long time trying to do it. It was over an hour. I tried 2 different soldering irons, various different settings, and it just was not budging. Maybe a job for another day, but in this case, 9 times out of 10, you will bring back the LCD straight away. But in this case, it was being very, very stubborn. So I had a look through my box of, it's a bit of a graveyard of front PCBs from many years of doing these kind of mods. I never really like to throw anything away. You never know when you're going to need just that one component from a motherboard, or you might have a new technology or a new method that comes out to repair something that you thought previously was irreparable. So it was worth keeping these things. I am something of a hoarder, but in this case, I went through the box, I tried a number of different front LCDs from abandoned project, and found one that had already had the film peeled off it. So I tried that with the backlight panel and it was no good. So I took it all apart again, had a bit of a rummage. After trying a few more, I found one that had a few slight horizontal flickers, but seemed to be okay when I attached this backlit panel. And seeing as it was just going to be a favour for a friend, it's not like a Game Boy that I'm building up and I'm going to be selling or anything like that. It's just trying to help out a friend and make sure that the display is a bit better. I thought I'd give it a go and try it. So I did that, I put it in place. It was a good opportunity when I had the panel removed to actually show you how I wire it up. A lot of these I've seen in the past have the wires, like they come with quite long wires, and people use great big wires and loop them all over the place inside. I always like to keep those short, and where you add a resistor, again I like to keep that hidden. I'll just attach it horizontally to the right hand pad, then attach the wires, and it just tucks in very neatly and does a neat job. Particularly good if you're doing anything like that with a clear shell. Anyway, that all went back together and is now fully working again. So in comparison to the original LCD display that needed daylight or a lamplight to be able to see it, these backlit panels are fantastic, and it also means that you have absolutely pixel perfect display because you're using the original LCD. Another advantage of using these, because you can still get hold of them, is that you can get them very cheaply. So these LED panels only cost around £10, so they're a really good budget solution, and it also means that you are keeping much more of the original hardware inside, which is a good thing. If your LCD has failed, then the IPS screens are great, but the IPS screens cost a lot more than these kits as well. And you also take away a little bit of the authenticity by replacing it with a completely different screen. In here is an original Game Boy screen. It's just had the backlight panel added. So I quite like that. Another thing that you could do with these panels is you can do what's called a bivert. So that's where you take a hex inverter chip, you install that into the hardware, solder various wires in various places, and it will invert the display. And there's also a polarizing film that goes between the LED panel and the LCD display that allows you to be able to see the display. If you rotate that 90 degrees, that will also invert the display. So if you do that and you install the chip, it twice inverts it. It makes it a much crisper, sharper image, but it hasn't got that kind of negative inverted view. So that was a mod I always loved doing, and opening up this was quite a fun excuse to have a look at one of my previous builds. Back when it was much more exploratory, much more challenging in terms of really tinkering in a DIY fashion with the hardware rather than being able to buy all the amazing parts that you can buy now to build something that looks very modern and very professional. Not that this doesn't look professional, I really love the look of this one, and it was really nice getting some time to play on this with the original backlit LCD. I first got into modding Game Boys when I got into chiptune music, but also just that nostalgia of something I was very fond of from my youth, and being able to put a backlit display in that was a new means of being able to enjoy it and embrace it and enjoy playing those games all over again. But that was quite a number of years ago now. It was like over 10 years ago that I got into modding Game Boys like that. So coming to something like that now, I'm actually feeling nostalgic for those times of when I was getting into modding. So yeah, nostalgia for feeling nostalgic is a strange sensation. So a bit of an odd video this week. I've got a new camera. I'm trying that one out now, so we'll see how that looks and how it sounds. I can't plug my microphone into it. It doesn't seem to work, so I'm still getting to know it. Let me know what you think of this footage and we'll see how it goes. I may return it, I may not, hopefully. I had been filming all of my stuff on my phone, but that was having a lot of issues with focus. Sometimes it'd be out of focus and I wouldn't know because the display is on the back of it, and I'd end up losing a whole load of footage because I'd record an entire video and it'd be out of focus. Whereas with this one, I can see the display, and it's got a feature where I can hold something up near the display and it'll hopefully focus on that, and then I move it away again and it'll focus back on me. So hopefully less of that hassle will work quite well. Right, so that's pretty much it in terms of this Game Boy. But while we are on a theme of the original DMG Game Boy, there is something quite exciting I want to show you. Now, anybody that knows me knows that the things that I really love and are obsessed with is Game Boys and skateboards. So what I've got here is something pretty epic. All right, so this is a skateboard from my friend Game.uk. Has started a new project called 8-Bit Boards. It's these beautiful skateboards. He's done one with a Game Boy DMG design, like the one that you can see here, and also there's another one with a Game Boy Advance. It was actually really difficult for me to choose between the two, and I'm highly likely to end up with both at some point anyway. And then hopefully, if these boards are a success, there'll be more coming along the line, so it should be a really interesting project to keep an eye on. It's 8-Bit Boards. They're on Instagram. I will link their page in the description. They've got a giveaway going on at the moment, so if you go on and follow their Instagram, take a look, you might be able to get your hands on one of these fantastic boards. This one was sent to me as a gift. I know that GameDuck knows I love skateboards and I love Game Boys, and I was thrilled to receive this, so I thought I'd share it with you. It's a cool new project, and it's a limited run of boards in the first instance, but if it's successful, then they'll continue to make more and more, which is something I would love to see. So if you're interested in that, take a look at the link I've left in the description there. If you fancy getting into doing mods and builds like this, or if you do it already and you're looking for somewhere to get your stuff, you could do well to try out ZedLabz. They support me by giving me an affiliate link that you'll find in the description. You click on that, it'll take you to the store, it'll apply a discount to your order straight away, and you'll be supporting my channel if you use that link. So I'd really appreciate it if you're doing your shopping to head to ZedLabz and use my link. And that is it for this week. I'm going to go and check out this footage, and hopefully it's going to be usable, and I'll see you in the next video. This is Joe Bleeps signing off from the shed, and I'll see you next time. Bye.